Hello and welcome to Herein Lies the Peace of God in the Awakening Together Sanctuary. The Awakening Together Sanctuary is an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. The host of Herein Lies the Peace of God is Reverend Jacquelyn and Glen, the President and Minister of Awakening Together. Our co-host is your favorite anarchist preacher, Reverend Glen Ganaway, integral scholar. The Course in Miracles says this about discerning one truth. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Sing glory, glory, hallelujah. How wonderful thy holy name. Now I can see with God's own vision, and I see peace instead of pain. Yes, I see peace instead of pain. I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
Welcome to the Wyndham Hill Townhouse. Wyndham Hill, Wyndham Town Hall. Welcome to Wyndham Town Hall.
Thank you. Glenn and the lovely Reverend Yolanda are in Vermont, who's off screen there, Reverend Yolanda,
Yeah.
are in Vermont. And so we're having a live in-person episode from their town hall location.
And the sun is going to set at 6:40 today, so we'll see.
Look cold already. And
It's
here's
not bad.
one more thing. So in their previous program, Church with the 2-Drink Minimum, the Mighty Companions, Reverend Glen and Reverend Yolanda were talking about how well what they were teaching matched up with what we were going over tonight, and they kept referring to Luke chapter 11, when actually we're on 10. So I don't know, Glenn, how you'd like to proceed, whether you just want to wing it, whether you want 10 and let you do 11, how you feel about all of this.
Because I read 11, I don't, for whatever, as par for the course, I wasn't switching up chapters. I wasn't actually talking about chapter 10. I was actually talking about chapter 11. That's what I did.
You were.
Yeah. So, yeah. So let's do this. I have, as you know, I love NTI, and I spend a lot of hours every week with it. I did not bring my notes and stuff for this, although I've done I'm not particularly concerned at spending so much effort on 11. I assume it's going to really inform how well my commentary will be on chapter 10, because that's what happened,
Perfect. Now, do you have your NTI with you? Are you able to read it, or do you want me to read it? Oh, you do. Oh, very impressive.
I know. Arizona sent me her PDF because I forgot everything at home in my rush out the door. This, it's like, oh, Vermont's coming.
Good for you. Just throw caution and everything else to the wind.
I did. All the cautions in Brooklyn. There's no caution it's all out the window on 87 to come up here. It's on the side of the road. All the caution. As we shovel it out the back door of the Jeep Cherokee going 80 miles an hour down to 87. Caution in the wind.
Good for you.
That's definitely a good description of. So I have read chapter 10 a couple of times, but I have not read it and studied it this week. So why don't you read and I will follow along?
Sure. Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
Oh, actually, you know what? I think because I think let me do this. I think you should teach first since you're better prepared. So let me do my high school for I'll do my high school forensics and lettered in extemporaneous reading in high school. You probably
Well
don't
done.
know that.
Well
So.
done. I'm not surprised.
I know, because you can lettered extemporaneous reading. Who knew that? Geek, total like spaz geek. Okay, this is Luke chapter 10, and the translation is Regina Von Akers and Luke. So let's begin. Give no thought to what you are to do in the next moment of time. When the next moment of time comes, ask me then what you are to do. It'll answer you in that I will answer you in that moment. For each moment brings with it its own opportunities for healing. But if you're thinking of another moment in this moment of time, you miss the opportunities that are given in the current moment. In this way, your healing will seem to take longer because you're not using the time that you've been given for the purpose of healing. Think not for yourself. Remember that it is your thinking that has brought you to the point of needing healing. Relinquish your own thought and trade it for my thought, big capital M. This is the opportunity to trade. Lay down your thought.
Hey, Glenn.
Yep.
I'm going to interrupt you because it says now is the time, and I think the now is really important in that.
Now, what did I say? What this?
You just said this.
Okay. Now, thank you for that correction. I always love that. Makes me feel loved and listened to. Now is, I'm serious. Now is the opportunity to trade. Lay down your own thought now, and I will fill you up with my thought, capital M. Go, filled with my thought, and do not question the thought that is given. When you are tempted to question and to once again find your own thought, remember the purpose of your journey. Joyously choose my thought again. You will seem to have many temptations. You will seem to forget my thoughts completely for a time. Do not let that distress you. The thinking you do apart from me cannot hurt you. It can only delay your healing for a little while. So when you find you have forgotten, shake off the past and the memory of your forgetfulness. Now is the new moment. You help yourself by choosing my thoughts again. Now. There is never backward movement on this journey. You can only walk forward on the path of healing with me. When you forget them and seem to fail, you have not failed or slipped backwards. You've only stopped and stood in one place for a time. When you're ready to continue forward with me again, I'm waiting right there beside you, ready to take your hand and go forward with you. To love God, to love yourself, and to love another is all the same. This is the one lesson I would have you learn. There is no differences among anyone or anything within your mind. This is all within the mind of God. It is all within the mind of God. How would you learn this lesson? First, you must give up judgment. For when you judge, you separate and see differences. And in this seeing, quote unquote, you cannot see that it is all the same. Go within your mind and watch the process you call thinking, again in quotes, as it goes on there. What you will observe is that it is a constant process of dividing, judging, selecting, and specifying. It is the calculation that defines separateness. It is everything except the acceptance of truth. This is why I have asked you to lay down your own thoughts. But I understand that before you choose to do so, you must come to see that which you think has value as being truly valueless. And this is the case with your thoughts. For as long as you hold on to them and cherish them, you cannot see the truth that is before you now. They are like the veil that hides the light of heaven from your sight. I ask this of you. Remember these famous words. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. And then remember, there's no division in this statement. It's all the same. It's all one. Love. See the thoughts in your mind that block this love from your experience and willingly lay them aside. Each time you do so, a prayer has been sent to heaven on the wings of your willingness, asking that you may lay all judgment aside and see the truth of heaven. As you listen to my words and practice what I say, resistance will come up in your mind, telling you that doing all that I say is not rational or sensible. This thought will imply that you will somehow suffer or regret listening to me. When this thought comes, remember that I told you it would. Then place it aside and continue to listen to me. I love that. It goes, I know these other people are going to talk to you. I know you're going to, everybody's going to tell you. So that's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you for that.
Thank you for
Stay tuned for chapter 11. It's really good too.
I have no doubt. Thank you for reading, Glenn. I love this particular chapter 10. I thought it was really cool on the heels of what Kelly taught some lovely things this morning. And
oh, good.
What really caught my attention was the emphasis on practice.
Yes.
And this chapter is also emphasizing the practice. First of all, though, it's talking about focusing on the now moment, not the future, not the past.
Oh,
now, just right now. It says by focusing on another moment, we miss the opportunity to heal. We miss the healing that's contained within this moment of experience. And so we're to practice now and now. And now is the opportunity to trade. So what it wants us to trade is our thoughts for the thoughts of the Holy Spirit. And I love this. Remember, it's your thinking that has brought you to the point of needing healing. And as I often like to misquote AA, when they say it's your stinking thinking that got you here, right?
Your best thinking got you here, right?
Yeah, your best thinking got you here. And this is saying exactly the same thing. Think not for yourself. Remember, it's your thinking that has brought you to the point of needing healing. So it's like, okay, so trade your thought for my thought, but don't think about this in the abstract. When I'm better at this, or when I have more time, or when things aren't so pressing. No. Now and now and now and now is the time to do this practice. Now is the opportunity to trade. Lay down your own thought now, and I will fill you up with my thought. And I love, so these first three paragraphs start with a directive sentence. Each of them give no thought what you're to do in the next moment of time. Think not for yourself. Go filled with my thought, and do not question the thought that is given. Right? Those are the easy peasy. That's the practice. Go do it. And don't worry if you seem to have forgotten. I just think it's wonderful. It's like, no, you don't understand. I said the now moments, don't worry that you forgot it for the past week or, 6 minutes or whatever it was, right? It's like just start from where you are. That's the only time. You've got no control over what happened 10 minutes ago. It happened 10 minutes ago. Be here now. Do this practice now. Now is a new moment. Help yourself by choosing my thoughts again now. Says if you don't worry about, and I heard George refer to it this morning as backsliding. I hadn't heard that term for a while. Don't worry if you backslid, right? If you forgot for a while, it's completely irrelevant. There's absolutely no loss in God. There's no, and I heard Kelly say a couple of weeks ago, she said something about FOMO. I'm like, oh, and then I figured out what it was, fear of missing out, right?
Oh, yeah.
But there's no FOMO in God, right? There's no loss in God. Just pick it up now. When you remember to trade Holy Spirit thoughts for your thoughts, that's the time to do it. When you're ready to continue forward with me again, I'm waiting there beside you, ready to take your hand and go forward with you.
Oh, I know. I love it. All the holding hands. There's a lot of holding hands in Course in Miracles, and I'm glad that there's a lot of holding hands in NTI, because I like holding hands, because that image of like holding hands with your best friends and stuff like that, going down the boardwalk or being, it's like, it's this, I'm with you. We're not talking. We're not doing anything. We're just now. We're here in this moment doing this,
I will not leave you alone and comfortless.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm literally holding your hand. Yeah, it's just like I love it.
And then and I've written, let's see, practice alert across my, because this is now we get the practice, and this practice is just so clear. First of all, to love God, to love yourself, and to love another is all the same. This is the one lesson I would have you learn. It's like, damn, it's a whole thing in this one little paragraph. This is the one lesson I would have you learn. There is no difference among anyone or anything within your mind. It is all one within the mind of God. And as I am often want to say, there is only one thing going on here. There's only one thing going on here. They're not separate people, separate plans, separate needs, separate abilities. None of that. There's one thing going on here, and you're it.
And what I love is there no hierarchies. There isn't like they're hard on. He goes, no, she has more God in her than me. I just can't compete with all that goddess, that she has. That's not really a thing,
So exactly. So and so the question that arises is, how would you learn this lesson? So this gets real specific. So how do I learn that everything's the same? There's only one thing going on here. That love is love is love is love. How do I learn that? And it says, well, first, you must give up judgment. It says judgment is the problem. When you judge, you separate and see differences. And in this quote unquote seeing, you can't see that everything's the same. So then it gets more specific still. So, okay, so how do we learn that there's only one thing going on here? That one thing is us. That one thing is love. How do we learn this? First, give up judgment. Okay, great. How do I give up judgment? Well, I'm going to tell you. Go within your mind and watch the process you call thinking. What you will observe is that it is judgment. What you will observe is that it is a constant process of dividing, judging, selecting, and specifying. It is the calculation that defines separateness. This thinking for ourselves, that's all that goes on. We're like, well, I really need to think so that I'm able to do. No, that's judgment, right? That is separating, categorizing, hierarchical, right? Division. That's all you're doing when you're thinking. That's why, what the antidote to that is? What would you have me do now? How would you have me see this? The antidote to my own thinking is surrender. That's what we're being asked to do here. So first of all, okay, so how would you learn that there's only one thing going on here, that it's all love, that it's all God? Give up judgment. Okay, great. How do I give up judgment? quit thinking for yourself. Go in, see what's going on when you say you're thinking, and see it for what it is. It's pure division. It's pure division.
Judgment, categorization, separation.
What's
I
going on?
like this. I don't like this. This is better. My future, my happiness is in the future. My happiness is in the past. What I want is in the future. What I have, what I want is conditional. All kinds of things like that.
That's right. Even that separation of time, or particularly that separation of time, just adds to that idea of being separate things going on. And then it says, now, I realize that because you think your thinking is valuable, you're not very likely to give it up. It's not valuable. That it's like I understand that before you choose to do so. Well, okay, this is why I've asked you to lay down your own thoughts. But I understand that before you choose to do so, you must come to see that which you think has value as being truly valueless. And this is the case with your thoughts. For as long as you hold on to them and cherish them, you cannot see the truth that is before you now. They're like a veil that hides the light of heaven. And Kelly talked to us this morning about these blocks to the light of heaven. So this block is the value we place on our thoughts. We still think our thoughts will make us happy, safe, and loved, right? That our thoughts will get us in that position where we can finally be happy, safe, and loved. And it's just not true.
That there is a thinking solution.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's like, why even go down that road? It goes, I think I can see. I'm notorious for that. I really do think my brain will tell me that I can figure it out.
You can't. And what your brain is going to do is just separate you from everything.
Right.
I mean,
my ability to even describe the problem well, or even ask a better question.
It's the wrong starting point.
Yes, absolutely. You just don't get there. You don't get there. So don't beat yourself up for running the race backwards. You didn't know that.
Yeah. So it asks us then to
lay down your own thoughts.
To remember that there's only one thing going on here, that the statement, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself, that there's no division in that statement, that this is to be taken literally, that it's not like, you don't go, Lord, Lord on Sunday, and it's like, you son of a bitch on Monday, right? I mean, it's all one thing. It's all one thing. Do you want to separate yourself from God, from others, from the only thing that's going on here? Or do you want to experience the oneness of everything? So see that that's all that's going on with your thinking, and let that go. That's what's required.
Examine both of those experiences as well. You can examine the experience of trying to take control and making sure everything goes a certain way and clamp down on them. You can observe my own trying to control everything versus doing what is mine to do and letting things be as they are, and inserting and saying only what I'm led to or what's mine to do. It's a lot less stressful, but feels less important somehow. Special.
The final block that's identified here is the fact that we're like, well, that may work in whatever, I don't know, in reference to what I teach in the sanctuary, but that's not going to work when it comes to, paying these bills or running this company or whatever it is you got going on. Now this is serious stuff. I got to take care of.
Yeah, my dad used to say this
stuff. You're going to see that. That's simply resistance. You're going to see that come up, and resistance will come up in your mind, telling you that doing all that I say is not rational or sensible. This thought will imply that you will somehow suffer or regret listening to me. When this thought comes, remember I told you it would, then place it aside and continue to listen to me. It's going to come up. It's good. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So don't believe it when it comes up. It's just a heads up. Don't believe it.
And I'm still holding your hand. I'm still here, even when you're looking away, and you say, "Let's go over there." I'm still holding. I'm still here. I'm still here. So you just do nothing. You're just standing. Still. Okay, you want to stop here for a little while. God doesn't go, man, I totally read you wrong. I thought you were going all the way. I thought you were, what do you mean? I thought we were going to, and now we get all the way to the nightclub and you're turning around. Oh, man. That never, that doesn't, but we operate like Jesus, like God, or the Holy Spirit, our own true nature is going to like treat us, or like the world is set up the way that we're fundamentally desiring to keep recreating sameness in a broken world, what I call a broken world. So I can spend all my energy trying to fix and clamp down and create hierarchies and split and separate. If I could get this separated out into the correct categories, the correct labels, the correct stuff, then everything would be okay, right?
Well, to the extent we're even conscious that we're doing that. I mean, we think we're just like living normal everyday life, and we're not.
I don't think we're very conscious. I don't think we're very conscious of the way that we separate completely out. And one of the things that I liked about it is the meditation in the morning to Forge, David.
Oh,
Michael's. Divorce. There's nothing the way. Like even Yolanda says, even what you don't like, and even what's, this is God being there, and your experience. That's God experiencing discomfort. This is you experience. There's nothing wrong actually happening here. Turn, and that's the perfect, and that's the method. What I call, when in the Course of Miracles and NTI says gives you complete instructions. Okay, she's giving you the method. The method is to turn within and think, is this really what I believe? Is this really what I want? What is this for? I mean, I'm doing this myself because I just did the lesson, but it's like, do I want reality more than I want like my own story? And the reality is that it took me well into adulthood before I didn't want my own story. It took me well into creating and crafting a story for myself and giving up that before any kind of real like self-knowledge or happiness or experience of what is. And that was the time when the friendship came into my life, and when love came into my life as well, because I wasn't operating in this sense of trying to get somewhere or trying to examine, and I don't know, just trying to acquire or get, or it's a little, we as Americans specifically, and I can only speak as American because that's what I am, live in this, really transactional world, where everything is for, get this and get that, and I'm an accountant, so it's balance sheets, right? So everything has to, everything is, you put something in, you take something out, and you tit for tat, and you're and what that is a reflection of in the mind of God, or what in reality, what that idea is a reflection of, is that what she is saying is that I'm always choosing what's happening. I'm always choosing the experience, and choosing my experience of the way that it is. I'm asking for it in the best way, and that's why she says this is all for your healing. Either you're going to do this and be a part of, be in this now. This now is where it's happening. This now is the only thing that's satisfied. This is where our healing is. Think not for yourself. How hard is that for? I don't know. That says a lot right there. It says, one, I know what's not me. I have a clear understanding of like, oh, this is the outward glancing me, which is not, me, or the inward, So say, oh, I'm happier when I operate from the inward, from in out, rather than from out in. I operate better through the method of forgiveness than the method of trying to control or have power over. And so the lovely sound that you hear is my battery telling me on my cell phone. It's like, you may or may not be able to continue. So give no thoughts to what is yours to do in this next moment of time. And we talk a lot about here around flow, and this is really an attitude she's asking us to develop. an attitude of confronting our own upset, an attitude in confronting what we like and don't like in the world, or what we even think should be different or could be improved, even often of ourselves, even like good meaning and well meaning, thing, is to really examine, is this agreeing that something is broken so that I can fix it and get the credit for it, or is this me what I want to do? And that constantly means matching ends, that constant attitude of listening to the voice that likes me, listening and acting and taking action, because I trust that voice. I have learned by examining the evidence that I can really trust that voice, even when it's a really weird sounding thing, or even if it's an odd. She goes, "Don't question it, just do it." And you will acquire the evidence and the momentum that's shows you how reliable that there's one voice that's pretty reliable you got, and this other voice is not reliable at all. And I don't have to tell you, just examine the results of what it feels like when you do those things. That's just the scientific method. But
you're
the
absolutely
thing,
right about that. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right about that. I mean, there's no question that's where we're. I mean, and hence the emphasis on practice. And we talked about this a little bit this morning. Because you see those results, you see that you can give up your own, maneuvering and controlling and thinking when you hand it over, and see what kind of results you get.
But it's very. I don't know about you, but when I first really started to give over what I thought were my bad habits, or things that got my triggers, or things that got me into places that were upsetting to me, when I started to really give them over and just not take the bait, sometimes all I could do was just sit on my hands or bite my tongue or whatever I can, just to not do the same old reaction that I did. Even when I knew it was not good, even when I knew that it was not bringing me the results I wanted to. Just the strength and the willingness that it took those first couple of times to just bite my tongue, sit on my hands, and not do the thing that I had always done, because I believed the world owed me a consistent result if I did those things. Because the evidence didn't bear up that promise. It just didn't. So trusting the voice that likes me isn't a nice idea. My finances got better.
Yeah.
My health got better. This is an attitude on everything for me. It's don't examine what you call thinking. Examine what your best ideas are. He goes, examine what you come up with all by yourself. Just lay that out and see. And so Regina's suggestion to journal is a really, really good one in this respect. It's really served me, because I tend to journal when I'm journal the most when I don't understand what's happening. When I'm kind of in a conundrum and I'm in a new paradigm, or there's just so much going on that I just don't. I need to put it down on paper. So journaling is a real good way for me to examine those two voices, to be able to write down and be able to see what those voices are saying, and even make a good case try to make a good case for both.
What we know is, as soon as you get that down on paper, you're like, oh my God, that's insanity.
And it's ugly too. It's violent, and for me, if there's the thin veil, the course talks about the thin veil of politeness that you place over your violence, that we desire, and there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you have no more battery.
That's on your phone. Okay. Well, and I think some of our participants may want to participate.
I hope so. I don't know what time it is. All I know is that it's gone. It's
6:35 Eastern.
Oh, great. So this chapter 10 about this method of examining your thinking is a really good one, especially in the ways in which I'd like to hear how other people kind of do that. you know, and
Yes.
everything.
Amen. Who would like to share? Cindy?
Who knows what I'm going to say? First, Glenn, I hope you know the next time I lead a gathering, I'm going to ask you to read for me, because even when you don't practice, I still love the way you read. So
Thank
it's
you.
at least like 3 months out, but it's already in my head. I hope
No
you'll
problem.
say yes. You don't
I
have to
love
say
reading aloud.
the other thing is I really, because I'm feeling a little high right now, I want it, and it's about practice. So, and it all kind of merges together, NTI and I, and what I was doing today is listening to Regina's teaching in the NTI study group on Hebrews 7. And she, you know, that takes today's teaching to a whole nother level, because she says, what? Only give 10% to spirit? How about 100% to spirit? You know, the whole tithing thing, she turned it on its ear. But she also, in that 30-minute teaching, which I may listen over and over and over again because it was just so beautiful, she said, I haven't told anybody this until right now, but I never show up and listen to anyone as Regina anymore. I gotta, she says, whenever I'm in contact with people I care about or people I don't, I'm practicing now knowing that they're just a manifestation of awareness. This is how awareness is experiencing itself right now. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at, this is me as awareness experiencing a so-called other who's just awareness. She said, practice it. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 37 hours, sitting here. I could tell you everything you said, but most of my awareness, most of my focus for the last 40 minutes has been as awareness, connecting as all these amazing manifestations of awareness. And my heart feels like it's filling the room, and all I've got is love. So that's the current, it like blew thinking out of the water. This isn't Cindy listening to Glenn or Jacquelyn, and by the way, Shauna, I'm about to write you an email, so look for it, because it's all part of this. But anyway, that's like this practice, NTI, saying yes to it, looking at this, I'm in this space of saying, yeah, why would I want Cindy's thoughts when I can have this? So that's mostly what I wanted to share.
Thank you for that share, Cindy. I really appreciate it. How just that focus on awareness itself, and everybody being an iteration of that removes the impulse to think. Yeah, it's just lovely. It really is. And this says, this reading said, go filled with my thought and do not question the thought that is given. When you're tempted to question and to once again find your own thought, remember the purpose of your journey. Joyously choose my thought again. So, and Glenn alluded to that a while ago as well. It's like, you know, if you, it's where are you placing your believing attention? Are you placing your believing attention that you're an individual on the so-called fact that you're an individual in a world full of individuals, you know, and all that brings with it. And I got to get mine, as Glenn was talking about, I got to get mine before you get yours and all of that. Or are you able to bring it back? And it sounds like they're able to do that. And it's just really, really good.
Who else? How are you? How are we examining this idea of thinking and what is thinking and choosing and being able to? For me, it really was seeing the world I wanted to participate in. You know, the world I wanted to be true. What, you know, another place she says, what world do you want to prove is true? What are you going to place your actions? Where are you going to spend your, you know, assets and your attention? please
Connie,
place
do you
them
wanna
where they have
share?
results. Please.
No.
But Shauna,
Here. Connie's up like this. I thought she did. Go ahead, Shauna.
Oops, I'm sorry. Connie, did you want to go first?
No.
Okay. Thank you for this reading and teaching. I love a couple of things that really struck me is I love about not worrying when you forget. You cannot slide backwards. I just feel that's so gentle. And although I do feel a thickening or a density in front of clarity when I don't practice.
oh,
That really helps me, helps increase my desire to practice. And giving up judgment, oh my gosh, yes. I mean, you just feel it as a separation tool when I indulge in any form of judgment, because there's plenty of different forms of judgment in this mind. And one of the antidotes that I use is just acceptance of what is. Accept it in love. Accept it all as it is to the best of my ability.
yeah.
And then they also warned that you will experience resistance. Remember that I told you this. And that's so true. Oh my goodness. Resistance has become more of a sign that I'm getting somewhere instead of a frustration now. So that's very helpful, at least for most of the yes, I'm doing somewhere. I'm digging deep.
I can't hold it like this.
And then the practice, just to practice. Today, I mean, I want the peace of God means nothing. To practice means all. And what comes up for me a lot of times is that saying in the Bible about, why do you say, Lord, Lord, and then do not do the things I say? That's in Luke. So I looked up, just for fun, I looked up NTI Luke 6. And the one sentence that I found that really kind of goes with this is at the end of page 139. But to listen and not practice is to keep your interpretation, which is not knowledge. So you have chosen to keep nothing and believe it is something. This is to choose illusions over truth, and illusions cannot be shared. So I just thought that was pretty cool because it was still in Luke. Thank you for letting me share.
Lord. Thank you, Shauna. Right? Please save me.
Not like that.
Not like that. I really appreciated your share. We're going to talk about this whole resistance being a sign I'm getting somewhere. We're going to talk about that and clarifying the teachings tonight. And I think it's so helpful. I mean, if we're talking about practice, it's like, okay, how do I do this? You're telling me not to think. How do I do this? And I love that you gave us another practice tip, which is just acceptance. Just acceptance. Do I really need this to be different? Is the question that I ask when I'm focused on acceptance. Do I really need this to be different? You know what? Which brings me back to what's my true desire? What's my purpose here? So I appreciate that. The antidote to thinking is acceptance.
I often call these skills that, you know, I often call all of this skills development. What we lack is the practice of doing it. What we lack is a practice community. What we lack is the habit of doing it, because the habit reinforces itself. The habit of this mind that she's asking us to do actually is a habit that is it feels like a habit at the beginning. This is how it was for me. It felt like a habit that I had to develop, but then became actual reality. Like quitting smoking was a habit to not smoke, to just try to not smoke. But me as a human being, I'm not naturally a smoker. I wasn't born with a pack of American Spirits in my diaper. But contrary to a lot of my early years, you would have maybe thought I had pack of cigarettes attached to me at birth. But it's like, that's what I mean. It's like my identity wasn't actually my identity. What I needed to be practice, the skills development was actually in the thing that was me, that felt like it wasn't me, until I realized that it was, because there's the rewards of doing the right thing is this delicious moment. She says, be here now, because then this now is what's like so cool and wonderful.
Yes.
Dividing it in concrete and dividing it up well isn't fun, but that's it's just kind of wild to like recognize, no, that's not a good use of the skills that God gave me, is to chop up, discernment, sure, to know the difference between this flower or that flower, or a poison or whatever like that. That's great to know those things, but that's not, it doesn't rise to. So skills development, being able to know whose judgment I'm using when I'm making decision, the world's or reality. Am I making decisions based on reality, some kind of or am I making them on some kind of transactional front or transactional paradigm?
Yes.
Have some comments? Yeah.
Well, it's a quote. It's a Glenn Ganaway quote. The
Oh.
rewards are this delicious moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
The rewards are
rewards
this
of
delicious
skills
moment.
development.
Thank you.
There's just no question about it. And I was talking with my 500 days group recently, and we were talking about the helpfulness of focusing on a particular set of skills, one particular set of skills at a time, or one particular skill at a time, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna voice my opinion. I recognize that opinions are all based on this conjecture, this judgment, whatever. So I won't be doing any opinions or this week or this 6 months.
Yeah.
And another one is I won't defend myself. I'm just not going to defend. So to develop these discrete skills and to focus on them, then you begin to reap the rewards, and you're like, damn, this is good stuff. Like you said, I feel better. I'm healthier. I have more money in the bank. Whatever you begin to see that the fruits really are right here, available to you. It's not some. And this is my other thing that I've been looking at. It's not some goalpost that I'm going to run through at the end, right? It's and then I'm going to be enlightened. No, it's this moment, and this moment. In this moment, and what skills am I applying in this moment? And if you do that again and again and again with a repeated issue, you're going to begin to reap the benefits now and now and now. But if you're all over the place, you got a smorgasbord of, well, I'm going to work a little on this, I'm going to work on. I mean, and
that's
maybe
the progress you get.
But it's not good for me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. On one thing. Go ahead.
No, just like if you do it that way, you can examine the results of doing a million things and trying to fix a million things and not being focused on one skills development and what your capacity is and trying to do a million things. You'll get a scattered consciousness that feels like you've got too many plates in the air and everything like that. That's what it feels like. I've had to really dial back what is mine to do. It's like, instead of trying to make people use the skills that God gives me, I must, at all levels be, have all the skills that God gave me at max availability for the world. I don't. So no. This idea that comes from me, from an idea of proving something, that idea of worthiness, the idea of being so examining that thinking. My thinking leads me to decisions in which I don't like the results of. My thinking does that.
Yeah.
And I chose it. I thought that was a good idea. I examined all the options and says the wrong one. Definitely the wrong one. And it's like, oh. And then when I realize it's wrong, I'm getting really, really better at saying, I was wrong. Let's do it the other way.
Let's start again. Yeah.
Just quick. Just as in business meetings and stuff like that, and because, I do books and accountants, and I have to, it's like, I didn't record that properly. I I didn't do the things that let me change it. Then that changes all the stuff. I did it wrong. I'll go correct it. Not, well, in the training, if you'd have made better emphasis on the way that this happens here, this wouldn't have happened to me, and I would have understood. But you can approach it all different. It's like
that's a skill.
quickly agree, and it's an attitude. It's like, oh, I'm not. It's the person who made the mistake isn't the person that's getting happy, that's happy or not happy.
Can I see? Does someone have a comment?
Please.
Anyone?
Because it's slowly turning into the Blair Witch Project over here.
I hope not. Go ahead, Cindy, and then George. Go ahead, Cindy.
George could go first again. I just wanted to add one other thing from this I heard today that spoke to Shauna's just letting everything be what it was.
Yes.
Regina also spoke in this Hebrews 7 teaching about the fact that if we have made a mistake or we haven't gotten it, or we really want to awaken, but we haven't awoken it yet, she started laughing and she just literally said, well, that's just because consciousness wants to have the experience of not awakening yet. So enjoy it. Or consciousness wants to have this experience of feeling frustrated or feeling angry. So, feel it fully, and somehow, even though I've heard that teaching before, hearing it again, sort of with Regina laughing about it, this is just consciousness wanting to have the experience of being on the path, wanting to have the experience of making this mistake and feeling guilty about it, wanting to have the whatever. So just know that whatever's going on right now, it's because there was a desire within consciousness to have that experience. And when you realize that, whatever's going on becomes infinitely more enjoyable. So it was all coming up with me with all of this sharing, especially when Shauna was talking just about, accepting what is. Yeah. I'm for George.
Thank you, Cindy. George?
So you mean I really can't backslide, huh?
Really can't. You can stand still.
Good old Baptist term.
Yes, so I'm
Backsliding.
familiar with it. Yes. I grew up with that term.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I do like, Michelle said it this morning that, she hasn't been around for a while. And she just felt like she needed to take a break. And, I can understand that. Sometimes you just feel like, well, gee, what's this all about? And so, and just a sense of one foot after the other, just keep plodding along, regardless of how you feel about it, whether you're making progress or not. I don't think we have any idea if we're making progress or not. It just is what it is. And everything is perfect. And at the right time, we will have that awareness that we don't seem to have right now. So how's that for a word salad?
Thank you, George, for sharing. Yeah. I think that opportunity, I think part of what this reading is talking about is that opportunity is now. It's in this now moment to have that experience. Again, I think that we don't do ourselves any favor by seeing it as a goal that will one day we will we'll walk through the sign that says enlightenment, right? Those goalposts, yay, we finally made it. I think who knows what happens when? I don't know. I'm not an expert. What I know is the difference that it's made in my life to understand that I'm enlightened to one thought at a time, period. what all those add up to, I don't know, because then I would be focused on that goalpost. So when I'm focused on this idea in this moment, that's when, I mean, even just saying that, my heart just, I just feel the flutters in my heart. I can feel how light that is. And that's why, there's no past. There's no past that I got to atone for. There's no future that I got to go, oh shit, how am I going to get from here to enlightenment? It's here, it's now. And this is what's here. This is what showed up in this moment. Now, how am I going to respond to thisness that showed up in this moment? This suchness, as Eckhart Tolle would say.
Yeah.
That's enlightenment. That's being enlightened now. And that, how could I ever do any more than that? I can't. Yeah, George.
I kind of think of it as looking at a detailed painting or something. When you first look at it, you just see kind of the totality. But as you keep looking at it, you start noticing more and more detail. And I think it's, if I'm aware of this instant right now, that's it. But
and the joy that's there.
Looking right now, then I'm going to see it differently. It's a kind of an evolution of the, I think I heard John Mark said, it ain't that big a deal, or dog shit awareness. So, but I really feel that as a community, we are so fortunate to have one another, and to just we're all saying the same thing. We're just saying it in different ways, and I think that's part of our process. Thanks.
Thank you, George.
And I can watch the skills development. What I've noticed is the skills development that I've learned from so many of the participants in Awakening Together. Watch you teach me your skills, and I'll teach you mine, and I can you can show like Jacquelyn said, that word wasn't this, that word was now.
Yeah.
So would you read the sentences again?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're doing. We're reading the book. We're not reading what comes to my mind. So that's how we do. That's how we do this. And I need you. And I'm glad that we have this together. So thank you for being here with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We love you. We'll do this again next Sunday. Hope you join us.
Chapter 11. It's going to be fabulous.
Thanks, Glenn.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacquelyn Eckert and Reverend Glen Ganaway. To find out more about Jacquelyn and to donate to Awakening Together Sanctuary, go to www.awakening-together.org. To find out more about Glen and to donate to the Mighty Companions Ministries, go to www.glenganaway.com. That's GLENGANAWAY.com.
I can see peace instead